up, and welcome to the Weekenders. This is the show where we talk about the biggest football games of the weekend, but we're not here to talk about games. If you've been paying attention, we have to talk about Nick Saban retiring, or the news dropping that Nick Saban has retired. Now, obviously, at this point, more details will come out, but this is more of an instant reaction. So let's start with this, Bobby. Why now?
I I mean, first of all, completely astonished. This has just hit we're talking like 16 minutes ago. Chris Lowe of ESPN just reported it. Why now? Well, I guess it makes sense if you really think about it. We've been talking about, and we just talked about this in the latest episode of the Weekenders before this show, that college football is completely changing. They're moving the playoff to 12, NIL, the portal. It's growing crazier and continues to get bigger, wilder, and ultimately the sport that Nick Saban entered, when he entered Alabama all those years ago in 2007 or 2008, well, I can't remember. It's been so long. It's a drastically different sport. And after 6 national championships, countless SEC titles, what is there left to prove? And in a sport that's constantly changing, rapidly shifting, we've seen Alabama kind of lose a little bit of their fastball recently. Do you want to keep up with this as an older guy, or would you rather just hang out, sell Mercedes, and hang out on the beach with Miss Terry and sell Mercedes Benzes? Which I think at some point there's no better time to retire than having to reboot all of this. So I think that's just everything going on in college football. It kind of makes sense because what else is there for Nick Saban to prove?
Yeah, I think for me, the why now is because everything is changing. We already talked about, the NIL aspect, the transfer portal, and things like that. And coaches have had to deal with that. And we've seen some of the older coaches complain about it in the last couple of years. But now we're entering a new year next year where the path to a championship, which is the standard at Alabama, that of course has been set by Nick Saban, or was set by Bear Bryant and reset by Nick Saban. The standard is champions, the standard is titles, and it's going to be harder to do that with a 12-team college football playoff. It just is. So, now, it's you. Of course, you want to go out on a high note, but that's going to be harder moving forward when you already have, two power teams like Oklahoma and Texas coming to your conference. You also now have, Georgia already being a dominant team. So Alabama sort of, got lucky this year. They started off rocky, had some tough games in the beginning, but Nick Saban did what he does, and he pulled off a run. Had that incredible game in Auburn that they pulled out of their hat, beat Georgia in the SEC championship, and then unfortunately, couldn't hang on with Michigan at the end there. But it doesn't get any easier moving forward, and so I think for Nick Saban, to retire with on a college football playoff semifinal appearance, that's better than like the alternate, retiring, just as falling short of expectations,
Right.
in the future. So, I think this is obviously totally unexpected, but I think strategically this might be smart for Nick Saban, but can't even begin to think of what this means for the world of college football now. I mean, there's so many outcomes of this.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense to make this move now. Like, think about his pal Bill Belichick right there. He stayed on too long in New England, and he's about to get a pretty unceremonious, pretty kind of sad way to leave what has been a dynasty. I think he definitely understands that this is time. It's just time. And that's fine. Going out with a playoff appearance like you said, but also an SEC championship. Man, that's a solid way to go. It's not the way you want to go, but coaches have gone out way sadder than that. So
I think this is interesting also, Bobby, because like while in the NFL, there's like a lot of interesting jobs open and a lot of candidates, good candidates, for these jobs. Uh, for an open Alabama job, like although there's an intimidation factor because who wants to follow Nick Saban, but like I mean, you got the like who are you thinking about for that job? Because I mean, you got you know, think about the best coaches out there, like, the assistants for um Saban are in some pretty good places. Like obviously Kirby Smart's at Georgia. He's in a good situation. Sark's got a good situation at Texas. Um I mean, you think maybe Bill O'Brien,
oh
maybe
man, oh that would be so bad. Oh
yeah,
god.
but it's like,
Oh
Bill O'Brien, you're familiar with that building, but do you really want to go follow Nick Saban? And then the rest of the
no,
guys, like have already kind of made their moves already. I don't think Harbaugh would leave Michigan to go to Alabama.
absolutely not.
That would be insane. And I mean, Pete Carroll's not gonna, you know,
He just retired today,
another
basically.
surprise move. They got Seattle and part of ways with Pete Carroll. Like he's not going to go back to college. He's in his mid-70s for God's sake. So like this is like a very very interesting opening. Probably the most intriguing opening of the cycle, both in college and in the NFL.
I mean, yeah, it's massive, and I mean the names we're going to be thinking about. I think you can definitely rule out Smart, or sorry, not Smart. Yeah, Kirby Smart, and you can rule out Steve Sarkisian. They're in
Yeah,
better. They're in really good spots. They're rolling. Won't be those two, but I mean, we're talking like Dan Lanning maybe coming down from Oregon. Kalen DeBoer. At Washington, that's a better situation for him. Dabo Sweeney, a Alabama graduate,
um,
formerly, chalked in as this heir apparent by some. Things have kind of gone down at Clemson. This could be a good position for him. I'm not sure if Alabama wants him at this point.
yeah,
I mean, you've got some. They're going to get a blue chip, top tier type of guy.
mm,
Um, and it has to be the right hire. But I think they can dream big. I mean, hell, if we really wanted to be crazy, Vrabel maybe. I don't know if that's a fit. It could be a fit.
yeah,
I mean, we're talking. It's going to be someone good. I think it's good. They're going to go younger with it. Maybe not too young, but I think whoever they get is going to be. I mean, it's a top tier hire. Some fan base is going to be brokenhearted at the end of this coaching search. I'm telling you that.
yeah. Jimbo Fisher is available.
Oh God. Oh God. Wouldn't that be like such a dramatic end to that beef? Jimbo getting that job. Oh man,
Oh man, yeah, but this
that's
should be
funny.
fun. This should be fun, and obviously, on our next show, we will kind of dig in more as we get more information on the story. But just a quick emergency pod for the content for the folks out there who want to hear some pontification about this breaking news. But yeah, we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it more on the next show. But until next time, Bobby, appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Thanks.